So this year at the annual meeting, our theme was connections, reflections, and directions. And I think throughout the annual meeting, in the keynote address, in the worship services, hopefully in each part, the voting for the resolution and all of it, you saw that theme woven through. And we were trying to continue to carry that theme on into this year, so it extends from beyond the annual meeting and stays with us as we go into our local churches. And one of the ways we tried to do that was on Saturday night at dinner, we set up these little cards on each of the tables. This was the logo for the event, and on the back of the cards were some questions. There were multiple different questions, and I'd asked folks if they would be open to talking about or discussing one or two of these questions at their table as a way to continue that theme of direction. Because each of the questions in some way, I think, had a visioning aspect to it, or a directional aspect. And some people were great enough to write down their notes about their discussion and leave them on the table for us to collect afterwards. I wanted to read a few of those that are things that I think people are seeing as possible directions or that which is bubbling up within our conference as we continue this conversation about what is our vision, our mission, our purpose as the Pacific Northwest Conference of the United Church of Christ. So a couple of them. One of the questions was, 3 years from now, I hope we as a conference have been faithful by our vision and our values by living into our O&A by further exploring our growing edges, such as racial, pacifism versus the culture, the economy. Also, by including a program at the annual meeting for 10 to 14-year-olds. That's a good one. If there were no limits, what practical workshop topics would be helpful to you and your ministry? Finding the space and reserve to move through tragic, multiple losses, whether locally or on a broader scale. And finding ways to include ministry with, for, and by young adults. A couple others that people left. I think these are really good. What do you see as going well within the life of the conference that needs to continue, grow, or evolve? Addressing the reality of homelessness as a conference. In what ways could the conference equip individuals in the local churches to engage the world? This person wrote, helping us to connect so we feel more able to work in areas that are uncomfortable for us, to be alone, that are uncomfortable for us to work in alone, like working with homeless. Some people really want to see some growth in us. This is awesome. 3 years from now, I hope that we as a conference can be faithful to our vision and our values by living out racial diversity and having a strong youth outreach program that offers an alternative to other more conservative youth programs. And if there were no limits, what practical workshop topics would be helpful for you in your ministry? Bias awareness and ending homelessness. One other one I wanted to lift up. The questions were, tell a story about a time you were proud to be part of the UCC. This person wrote a few different things. Today, as the ONA was passed as a conference. When the CDC connected with Liberation Ministries, it's a local church here in Seattle that's thinking about affiliating. Cheney UCC, building a habitat house in Cheney with senior high youth group. And the 2011 conference focus on youth. Second part of this one, vision statements are meant to be timely, not timeless. So what are the issues of our time that the conference can address in word and service? They wrote, youth and how to reach out to them, communicating and engaging, working to become more multiracial as a conference, partnership of faith-based organizations with community-based organizations, and developing strategic plans and providing resources to individual churches so that they can develop strategic plans. I think it's great to see so many of these ideas bubbling up about possible directions that we can take as a conference. During our leadership retreat, we're going to be doing more work on this kind of, visioneering, or working on what the purpose and the mission of our conference is. If you didn't get a chance to respond to one of these questions, or you'd like to, I'm going to go ahead and retype the questions in the blog just down below. And you'll also see a place down below where you can comment. So you can pick one of those questions and write right in the comment section, which again will be right down below this video. You can write your response and add your voice as we continue to reflect on and let the Spirit of God stir within us. Thanks.